Hello, and welcome to the Lightworker Diaries, a space for reflection, truth-telling, and soulful remembering. My name is Tiffany, and I am a truth teller, a mystic, and a mirror. These are transmissions from my heart to yours, an archive of channeled wisdom, lived stories, and the real work of becoming. May something in here stir something in you. Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Lightworker Diaries. Today, we are going to jump into the very uncomfortable, highly talked about, the thing that everyone wants to avoid, the dark night of the soul. This morning, I woke up at, I think it was 5:45, something like that, and it was very clear that my body was not ready to get out of bed yet. And so I decided to lay there for a few minutes, fell back asleep, and woke up at 7:53. I don't remember the last time I slept past 7 o'clock. I am usually up somewhere between 5 and 6 a.m. And so for me to sleep all the way until almost 8 o'clock is just the coolest and most rarest thing for me. I just woke up and I felt so rested. And the interesting thing is, you guys know I've got a dog, Max. He didn't even get up. He was lounging in his chair, asleep as could be. And apparently we just needed it. And I'm actually recording this on the day of the Aquarius full moon, which is Wednesday. And I feel like I woke up a different person today. Yesterday was incredibly hard. I felt like I was kind of in this low-grade depression, but also angry about it. Like there was just something swirling inside of me. And I knew better than to try to fix it, to force myself to feel something different, to push through it, to try to create or manifest or produce or really be anything other than slightly depressed and frustrated about it. And so yesterday, I spent a lot of time horizontally. I was very laid back and low key, and I'm grateful that I have created a life in which I have the kind of space to do that, because I think it's what allowed me to move through that experience and to integrate what I needed to in order to wake up with the clarity that I had today. But before I get into that, let's talk about where I've been and possibly where you've been too, that dark night. And the best way that I would describe how I have felt over the last several weeks is I would describe it as if someone took me and dropped me off in the middle of a deserted highway, and there was nothing in sight in any direction. I was hot, I was uncomfortable, I was unresourced, and I was alone. It just felt like silence. And I'm a highly intuitive person, as are you. And even my guidance felt a little dry, a little not there in the way that it normally is. And desire the same. It's not that it was completely gone. I was still creating. I was still enjoying creating. And actually, the thing that was the most challenging for me is I have a life philosophy that we are able to make a living doing what we love. And I was standing face to face with my philosophy, and I felt like it had turned around and started walking away as if it had been proven untrue. And I was sitting with that. How could I believe something so wholeheartedly and yet not have the evidence to back it up? I just didn't understand. I couldn't put together the puzzle pieces in any way, shape, or form to make that work. And it was so incredibly frustrating because I have felt that this is true for my entire life. And I've left corporate to do it once before, and it didn't work out the way that I had planned. So I went back. And then when I left this time, I had this inner knowing that was so unwavering that I thought there's no possible way that it could be anything but a success. And I have not had success. I've had success in some ways, but not in the way that I wanted. And because of that, I was questioning everything. And that, my friends, is what the dark night of the soul is all about. It's not about turning away from everything. It's not about, depression. It's not about failure. It's this space that our soul drops us into, and we get to decide how much we actually believe the things that we know to be true. I had to have my entire reality wiped clean. And the thing that I keep coming back to is that I still believe, despite my reality not matching my expectation, that I can absolutely get paid to do what I love. And I am not willing to give it up, even in the darkest of nights and the most crumbling of faith. I'm still unwavering, and I'm still moving forward in the way that only I know could be possible. I mean, imagine you're standing in that deserted highway and you're looking around in all directions. And let's say the person who dropped you off spun you around 20 times, so you don't know which direction you came from. And there's no markers. There's nothing that looks familiar. Logic can't take you out of that space. It was never intended to. You must surrender the way that you have been, the logic that has taken you this far, and feel into which step to take. There have been times, I will give you an example actually, where Max has run off into the woods, being a dog, chasing something smelly, and feeling really excited about it. I don't know where he went. I just know that he's gone. And so for me to logically walk in a direction just because that's where I think he might be wouldn't be the most effective way to find him. So there's two things that I do. I call in my spirit team and I send them to him to ask them to help him return home. So I send out support, and then I close my eyes, I put a hand over my heart, and I say, body, show me which way. And naturally, my body will lean in the direction that it wants me to go. I had one time where I was out in the woods behind my property, and my body leaned hard to the left. And I was like, okay. And so I walked along the trail, along our property, and down the dirt road that curved around. And he popped out on the road. My body knew where he would be. My guides knew where he would be. If I would have logically tried to follow him, I would have gone deep into the woods, deep into a ravine, and probably been scratched to all get out. And he would have still been way ahead of me. I may have never caught up to him until I got back home. So when we're in that dark night, this is your reminder. Logic ain't going to get you out. It may have gotten you into that place, but it's not going to get you out. That's when you need to tap into your heart, to tap into your gut, to tap into your intuition, to re-anchor into the thing that you know without a shadow of a doubt is true, and trust it. And trust it blindly, which is the most terrifying part. That's why they call it the dark night of the soul. You are leaning into something that is a different way of being, and it is forcing you, or perhaps allowing you to choose something you wouldn't normally choose, going deeper into uncertainty, going deeper into the space where there's not familiarity, where you haven't been before. And it's doing this for you. They don't call it the dark night of the ego. They call it the dark night of the soul. Your soul is doing this. It's leading you. It's guiding you into a new way of being. And so when it gets super dark, it's because you've been listening to too much of the noise. And it's hard to surrender because you think in your head, or at least I did, that logic got me here, logic can get me out. But that's not the point. It was never the point. The moment you surrender, the moment you allow, you start receiving. On the 26th of July, Sunday, I started channeling for the Lionsgate transmission, or the Lionsgate portal. And the teachings that came through first were all about opening up your capacity to receive. And in doing so, I was encouraged, and you are as well. Feel free to jump in. There's a link in my show notes for how to do it. But there is the first day you start a receiving practice, starting to notice where you are already receiving to amplify and expand your ability to receive. And just in 3 days, you guys, I have received 2 free coffees, back-to-back lattes, my perfect favorite coffee, 2 days in a row, free coffee. I've received a bonus, unexpected $100. And this morning, after I slept in and so beautifully received extra rest, I had the intuitive nudge to go log into my retirement account and look at my investments. And I noticed that they have grown by $11,000 since the beginning of this year. $11,000, free money, my money making money. And I was like, oh, well, that's fun. And then I looked at my HSA. My HSA has actually increased by 25%. I don't know what kind of magic I wove into that. I mean, I do, but 25%, you guys. My money is making mad money, and it is so awesome. So as I woke up today, not only was I receiving more rest, receiving more money, I was receiving clarity. And that clarity is around the questions that I have been trying to ask myself for the past several months as I've been standing in that deserted highway going, what the fuck, you guys? Just tell me what to do. And they're like, that's not the point. That's not the point. You've been following everyone else's advice and guidance for so long. That's not why we dropped you here in the middle of nothing. We cleared the noise so you can hear yourself. Listen, my dear, sweet soul, listen. Stop searching for the answers outside of you, because the only answer that wants to be provided is the one that comes from deep within. So let me share what's coming. I woke up this morning with clarity that I know specifically who I work with, how I serve them, what I provide, what I'm known for, how I make money, and all of it makes so much sense. I've been searching for this answer since I left my corporate position in October of last year. And I have tried a lot of different ways to test these ideas, but it was never meant to be a logical decision. It was never meant to be a trial and error and see what catches fire. That's just my logical way of doing things. And now that I have this clarity, I honestly can't imagine anything else more perfect, because all along the way, I've known the essence of the future self that I am becoming. I know that she is calm, she is resourced, she is unfazed. She speaks her truth, she travels often, she makes money from her creativity. One of the questions, I was working with AI as a thought partner this morning. I love to have it ask me questions so that I can develop my own ideas. And one of the things that it asked me is how much, because I specifically wanted it to help me dive into how my future self makes money. And one of the questions it asked is, how much of your financial income as this future self comes from creating versus doing? Creating being podcasting, speaking, writing, doing these things that are my self-expression, versus doing being coaching, one-on-one work, programs, that sort of thing. And the answer didn't surprise me, but the the number, I was like, oh, I mean, that's higher than I thought. 95% creating, 95%. And I have spent the last 7 months trying to figure out how to make money from doing. I was pouring all of my energy into the wrong part of the equation, the 5% part, instead of the 95% part. And I will say that maybe that's a bit of an abrupt statement, because I've been podcasting since October. I've been deep into content creation. I have been doing things that are creative. I've started writing my book. But my mind doesn't think about those things because they feel like a natural extension of who I am. Those are the things I do for fun. Those are the things I do for play. Those are the things that have long-term potential that goes way beyond offering an hour of my time to someone. But they also have a timeline before they start to take off. And so I actually posted about this on Instagram, and it was a question about, what do you do when your expectation doesn't meet what your intuition said? And something to the tune of like, how do you still trust yourself when it didn't work out the way you expected? Which is what I've been feeling, and I'm guessing you may feel at times as well. And the interesting channeled piece of wisdom that came through my heart was the timeline is created by your ego, not your intuition. You guys, that just gave me huge goosebumps. The timeline is created by your ego, not your intuition. You cannot blame your intuition for things not lining up on a timeline perspective because your intuition doesn't work in time. I just want to let that hang. Maybe I want to put it on a poster, a t-shirt. We can all wear it. Intuition does not work with a timeline. It's the ego that does. And that's what trips us up because the ego is out there poking at all of our trust wounds. Are you sure? Are you sure? Is it happening? It's not happening. That's probably your fault. You're not doing well enough. That's the ego, my friends. And she's loud and she's mean. And she's had the microphone for way too freaking long. When we get dropped in the desert, we don't look to the ego to guide us out because all she's going to do is spin us around in circles until we get too dizzy to make any moves. And that's when we surrender. Even in that moment, she is serving us. She's protecting us. But it is the intuition that leads us out. I am so excited to be on the other side of this. I think a lot of it has to do with being willing to do the work, being willing to look in the mirror, being willing to sit back. Let me just tell you, that is one of the hardest lessons as someone who is a high-achieving type A go-getter person, somebody who knows how to force their way to the top of the ladder, if that's what it takes, to sit back and let the world come to you, to let yourself be taken care of, takes a strength unlike anything I have ever experienced in my life. But this is the muscle that I want to grow. This is the way of being that my future self continues to show me. And my hunch is that if you are listening to this, it is for you too. It takes a complete rewiring of the operating system that has taken us this far. And I want you to know that this isn't one of those climb one mountain, drop into the valley before you climb the next. This is where that exponential growth happens. But sometimes you have to sit in the silence and the uncomfortableness and allow yourself to be led. It takes immense trust, but trust is built by every time that you do it. Each moment that you trust your intuition, you trust that little voice says, yes to this, no to that. Let's try this direction. That builds trust. And so if you are in a dark night of the soul, if you feel like you are in a place where you're not receiving guidance, you're not receiving your support, either it's really loud or it's really quiet, take a moment, take a breath, place a hand on your heart, take a day off, go somewhere you've never been. Don't force anything. Open yourself up, allow yourself to receive, let yourself sleep in one day. Tell your guides you're ready to be supported, and then wait until they give you the support that you asked for. Don't micromanage them. Don't micromanage this universe that's miraculous and magical beyond belief. I know you're a big deal. So's the universe. And the universe wants to take care of you. It wants to support you. It wants to crack that sweet little heart of yours open and pour into it. There's a future version of you that you have been dreaming of, and it's still yours. Sometimes we just have to be reminded how to get out of our own way. I want to remind you one last time, actually not last time. I would like to remind you that if you would love to listen to some channeled transmissions of the light codes that are currently raining in on our earthly plane, changing our frequencies, providing clarity, and creating an activation for receiving in abundance. The Lionsgate portal transmissions are available. You can click the link in my show notes. You can sign up for free. You can make a donation. You can join today, tomorrow, August 12th, whenever feels right for you. But they're there. They're available for you. And it's one of those things that you get to simply receive. Put your earbuds in while you're folding laundry, while you're going for a walk, while you're laying in bed, as you're drifting off to sleep. They're anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes long. And they're going to go into that part of you that knows the truth that is unwavering and help you anchor into that in a way that shifts the timeline in a supported way so that you have the clarity and the ease to continue moving forward and becoming that future version of you that you can't stop thinking about. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you again very soon. Thank you for listening to the Lightworker Diaries. If something stirred in you today, take a breath and let it land. To go deeper, you can subscribe to the written diaries on Substack. You'll find a link in the show notes. Until next time, be true to you.